September 11th story. I happened to be in the newsroom at 8:30 that morning for computer training, and just got pulled into it and wrote nonstop until about 2 o'clock in the morning. People say to me, "How did you do what you did that day?" And I say, my answer is, how did the people who went down to the Trade Center and to Hoboken and to Weehawken, and the people, my colleagues who drove to the Pentagon and drove to a hole in Pennsylvania, in a Pennsylvania field, how did they do what they did that day? You didn't have a choice. The story was there, it landed in your lap, you wrote it, and it was all you could do that day. Some people that day had to pick up their kids from school, some people had to wait by the phone to hear about their loved ones, and we had our jobs to do. There is a feeling initially, wow, this is a big story, this is a really good story, and you're happy because you're busy, and you're out there doing what you have to do under a lot of pressure. After you've written this story, after you filed it, edited it, and it's heading to the press, then I think, this is my point of view anyway, you start to think about the human lives involved and how these people will be affected. Of course, when you're on the phone with people during a disaster, I feel I am genuinely sympathetic that people are in a bad situation. I don't want them to pick up the paper the next morning and read about how their loved one was involved in a disaster, and I wouldn't want the reader to say, gee, I wish somebody had talked to me about my son or daughter. I would have had something to say too. So I think the idea that we are out there just to report bad news is a misconception.
I mean, I consider myself to be a moral person, and I certainly don't want to endanger anyone else. So when I'm at a situation like that, I don't want to be in the fireman's way. I don't want to be in the way of the police. But I also do have to test, and I have to get just a little bit closer, find that line. As far as ethical boundaries, I'm certainly not there. There's nothing that I would do that the newspaper would use if I gather that information unethically. I mean, if I snuck into the back of a building, if I broke a law to get that, then I'm part of the problem. You know, and you know, but there are times where lines are set up or established for us that aren't necessarily fair or reasonable.